Hello and welcome to the All Monitor Brief. It's Wednesday, August 7th. I'm Kristen Tallman. We're going to get right into the main segment as it's one of those news days where if you don't move quickly, the information could quickly become old. So it's a segment with Iranian journalist Mohammad Reza Mousavi, who will speak to how the thinking in Tehran has evolved, changed, and what we should be looking out for after the killing of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh last week. Let's dive right in. Hi, Mohammad. Welcome to the All Monitor Brief.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been a whirlwind last week. You are an expert in Iranian diplomacy. You're an Iranian journalist yourself. Talk us through how the last week has shaped for Pezeshkian's presidency and what we should be looking for. There's a lot to cover.
Oh, absolutely. So let me tell you what happened that we have this president in Iran. Well, there were some expectations from the previous Iranian administration. None of them came true. Iran was dealing with a lot of inflation and a whole lot of other difficulties and issues. From the issues that Iran has with Taliban to inability to revive the nuclear deal with the West. So in this condition, Pezeshkian came and gave some promises and won the election. And he was expected to do rapprochement with the West, especially with the United States. So everybody was expecting that he would go on, have nuclear negotiations again with the West, and at a specific time lift the sanctions that are really paralyzing the Iranian economy. But last week what happened was that Ismail Haniyeh was there for the ceremony of his presidency, was assassinated in Tehran. What happened was that this was not just a blow to Hamas and Ismail Haniyeh, but it was a serious blow to President Pezeshkian, because already, he had a lot of burden to deal with, a lot of issues, a lot of problems. So this actually added to them. The potential that this incident has, it can prevent any kind of rapprochement with the West. So not just that, but it can also lead to a probable confrontation and all-out war with the United States and Israel.
And when you say that it could hinder rapprochement, is it because it would reflect internally badly on Pezeshkian and sort of almost looking like they're not standing their ground, or is it from the West? Like, which side is that from, or both?
Well, basically, it should be both. But the most important thing at this point in time is the international aspects of it. So, if a country like Iran starts launching an airstrike or whatever against Israel, then Israel will not be probably the only country that Iran is dealing with. Iran will be dealing with the United States, which has already so many bases and so many ships over the region, and is ready to be dragged into the conflict with Iran. So in this condition, the possibility of having any kind of negotiation on the first place, let alone rapprochement, seems to be, very unlikely in far
Right,
future.
Especially the symbolism of his first day in office.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was not a really good day for him.
Really quick question. It is hard for me to even wrap my mind around that this happened in Tehran, that this was possible. There's been various reporting, some saying that the Iranians are blaming it that Haniyeh was on the phone too much, this or that. How does this sort of security lapse occur?
Well, it's actually not the first time. A few years ago, the Israelis just went deep into Tehran and just piled a large portion of Iran's documents, nuclear documents, on the back of a truck and just moved them out of the country. We have had these incidents in the past. In another instance, the nuclear scientist Fakhrizadeh was assassinated a while ago. So what we know is that Iran's security is really porous nowadays to Israeli infiltration, but actually nobody really expected this to happen in Tehran on account of the background that we have. So it was, still, as I understand, Iran's intelligence society is trying to fathom the aspects of this incident. It was really unlikely for somebody like him, which was, everybody knew that Israel was trying to assassinate him. He was living in Qatar for a long time, and he just wasn't injured even. There was no, from what we know, there was no attack against him. But he came to Tehran. Tehran is the main supporter of Hamas, beside others. But he was assassinated in the heart of Tehran, which in an area which is expected to have, a very high surveillance and high security in that region. So it was unexpected. It was a serious blow to Iran's face, especially in terms of security orientations, because the IRGC is responsible for mostly for providing security to these people who come over to the country, but they failed horribly this time.
Yeah. So now an Iranian response is expected. We're sitting here Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. There hasn't been a response. There was a lot of talk of Tuesday, Monday, and the days are kind of rolling around or rolling past us. What are you thinking? What are you hearing? Why has there been a little bit of a delay, and what should we be expecting?
Okay, so we should look back in time. Iran has not been, a really fast reactor to the things that happened to it. So the previous time Israel killed one Iranian commander in Damascus, next to Iran's embassy.
Right.
Iran didn't respond immediately. It seems that Iran always tried to, just spend a little time thinking about the dimensions of any kind of reaction. And on the other hand, I think they are, in a sense, using this atmosphere of, suspension against any country that they are trying to attack. Like they did that when Trump killed General Soleimani. They didn't respond immediately. They spent some time. I think it was a week after his murder, and that Iran just attacked Ain al-Assad military base in Iraq. The same thing happened a while ago, as I said, against Israel. So they are just trying to postpone it and maybe let the dust down to see what's happening, to have a clearer understanding of the condition, and then act. The previous times that Iran did retaliate for these incidents, the responses were really limited, and Iranians just made sure, at least again when they were attacking the American base in Iraq, that no American is being injured. They announced this to Iraqi officials that they're going to attack that location at that time. So the Iraqi officials informed the Americans, and they just took measures to save their lives. Almost the same incident happened a while ago when Iran retaliated the killing of that IRGC commander. So they knew that these missiles or drones that they're firing against Israel are going to be shot down eventually. And they expected that. So they just, if you know, I'm sure you remember, it took several hours for the drones that were fired from Iran to arrive into Israel, which made it really possible and easy to shoot them down, especially considering that Israel has the Iron Dome. Yeah. I think Iran is really trying to calculate the condition and make sure it can foresee the possible incidents that are going to happen in future, and that is why they are still waiting. But we should see. Everybody says maybe in the next 48 hours, this week, that week. In the next few hours. So I think these are all speculations. They have been, at least so far. But it seems that it is imminent. So it's going to happen. And we'll be surprised probably one night that they have done something.
Yeah, and a question in terms of when Iran, so obviously you have different partners in the region, right? Israel, the U.S. Who does Iran perhaps maybe, I wouldn't say go to for advice, but consult? Is it the Russian defense security officer was in Tehran? There was a lot of speculation of maybe that was previously planned and the timing was just coincidental, but is that someone that would Tehran call Moscow and sort of ask for consultation? Who is Iran consulting from sort of a diplomatic lens as they look to retaliate?
Okay, in this case, I think the Russians are an important partner to Iran's policies and diplomacies and whatever. They talk to the Russians, absolutely, certainly, but they also talk with some regional partners like Oman, mainly because these countries, they have their own concern of any kind of, skirmish in the region, but they also mediate between Iran
the back
and the
channel,
United States. Yeah. So it seems that Iran is now trying to talk to different partners in the region, talk to Oman. The Jordanian foreign minister, and very unprecedented, I guess.
Those photos were kind of funny.
Yeah. So they're trying to talk with everybody, make sure that they can, say the final word to them. Probably, I'm not sure, and just prepare them for what's happening, or just maybe assure them that there's not going to be any kind of serious blow to the region security. I don't know. So basically, it's not only one country that they're talking to. There are lots of.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that they have also talked to China. I can't remember if I read any kind of news about that, but I'm pretty sure that they're talking to different partners. They talk to Saudi Arabia and other regional countries, like I think Qatar or something. But this is not just one country that they need to talk to.
Yeah. And speaking of sort of back channel with Oman, there was news earlier this spring that had been sort of an avenue for talks regarding the Houthis. Is this a moment when Iran might leverage something and use that sort of that diplomatic back channel and demand something, or is it purely going to be a military response, do you foresee?
At this point in time, I don't think this is going to be any kind of diplomatic resolution to that issue. Let's be realistic. There was this guy, Hamas political leader. He came to Iran. He was assassinated. In the Middle East, this concept of somebody that is your guest is really important. So if you have a guest, you really take great care of them. And you're responsible for their happiness or whatever. So this happened to Iran's guest. Now, add to that Iran has been a supporter of Hamas for several decades and has always, used Hamas as a kind of consulting partner against Israel. So in this incident, he was assassinated inside Iran, and basically this is a different field of games. They have promoted from diplomatic solution to, or maybe demoted to military confrontation. So, especially at the time that there were negotiations for a ceasefire going on between Israel and Hamas. So I don't think there's going to be at the moment any kind of diplomatic reaction or negotiations to resolve this issue. Iran actually needs to, bring back its deterrence and change the equation again, and to have like a balanced condition with Israel.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know the scale of. Let's be realistic. We don't know the scale of Iran's retaliation measures. There can be that they, for instance, claim or do actually find the network of Israeli spies or what have you inside the Iranian territory, and just claim that it is a very, very big, which is would be a very, very big achievement. And in addition to that, make an explosion somewhere fire some missiles. So we don't know really the scale of Iran's measure. But it is possible that if they do something that they consider, that they can sell to the Iranian society especially, they can resort to some kind of negotiations, maybe directly or indirectly with the Americans. Of course, they don't recognize Israelis, and they don't have diplomatic ties of any sort with Israel, from what we know. But I understand that it is possible that they take a military measure and then resort to a sort of negotiation or talking with the West, especially the Americans.
Okay, my last question for you is, Pezeshkian ran on a platform of quote-unquote reformist, which has been debated, we must say. I mean, he is part of the Iranian establishment. It wasn't like the IRGC and Khamenei was going to fall overnight. But he ran on this platform. Do you think the thinking now is that's all out the window? And a lot of, people showed up and voted for that and brought him over that 50% line. So is that now totally gone?
Well, I can tell you that there was a great deal of hope. I can't say a great deal. I am correct myself. There was some hope by the people who went to the ballot boxes to vote for him, and although it was a very limited amount of
That's
vote,
true. Yeah.
whether it was it flew out of the window or not, I'm not sure at this point in time, because I'm still counting that there is a kind of rationality in Iranian behavior, that they don't see this moment as the final moment of confrontation, the Armageddon or whatever. So if that's not the case, they don't see this as a final moment of confrontation with Israelis. There is a good deal of possibility that after this obstacle there will be some kind of rapprochement, especially that I believe the Iranians know that this was one of the efforts of Israel to avoid any kind of negotiation, to prevent any kind of discussion between Iran and the West, because one thing that can help the Iranian establishment at this very moment is a kind of rapprochement with the West. And they know it. I mean, they said it, that we need better ties with the world. And the world is not just China and Russia. We need to talk with the United States. We need to have good relations with the West. So we should wait and see. But I personally don't think it will be a fundamental blow to all of the hopes that the Iranians have and all of the plans that the current reformist president has.
Yeah, and it's confusing for an onlooker when you see, still there's a chance of death to America, death to Israel, to think, wow, this is really reformist. So we'll see.
Yeah, we have to wait and see.
Thank you so much, Mohammad. This has been great.
The pleasure is all mine.
That's it for today, August 7th. You can read all these stories and more impacting the region at allmonitor.com.